Okay, we're going to put on detective helmets for a second because, you've played a cop and I pretend, but I was looking at the people that were the victims. There's like 13 women, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The victimology is all over the place. I mean,
Yes.
The age range is all over the place. Like it's just, it doesn't make sense. And you could totally see how somebody would confess to more. Once you're already confessing, sure, what's some more? Just, that makes sense to me.
You can see in like the first 4 victims, they look alike, and then all of a sudden there's this departure from a type. And then there's time and placement, and he couldn't have done it because he was incarcerated at the time, and all these mixed elements. But I'm hoping, like the script, when we read the script, it was just super, super suspenseful. I got a feeling, I haven't seen the film yet, but I'm hoping that it translates to the screens, which I think it will. Matt Ruskin, director, phenomenal. Keira Knightley, what can you say? Carrie Coon, Chris Cooper, Alessandro, just phenomenal people to work with.
Very professional, very thespian professional people. You know what I mean? Like real, it seems
grounded with gravitas, actors.
Yeah.
I think that's what you want when you're, doing something like a hyper realistic period. There's no shtick here. We got to find this guy, find him quick. I play the head of a newspaper, the executive director. I just essentially represent the establishment, and you will not use this paper to, further this investigation or mess with the Boston Police Department's investigation. I'm just so guarded in my little fiefdom of the establishment. So that's essentially what I'm doing there.
You're the man, is what you're saying, is you're playing the man.
No. I'm not a detective. I'm not a cop. I'm the head of a newspaper.
Right. No. Just in general, a man. Yes, working for the man. Like you're playing that when you say establishment. That's what I think about. Like that's you.
Bobby, can you talk about what it's like, being on, films of yesteryear, even when you think about a film like Limitless, and obviously
he's not that old. When you say yesteryear, I think of old people. Good God,
Well,
man.
he has been acting for a generation. So my point being is that, can you talk about what it's like when you're working with a certain cast where you know that the job is going to be taken very seriously, and how that more or less elevates the quality of the material once it's put on film?
It's tantamount to like going to church somehow. It becomes this, not religious per se, but a spiritual, it becomes like you begin to see the art of it all, and the holding up of the mirror, and the seriousness. You're not glib, you're not fun. You're paying homage to people who actually didn't sleep nights, who really earnestly wanted to solve this, to give closure to families, to stop these killings. It was just real madness. I mean, and another. And if you had an aunt or a mother or a sister at that time, that fear just really got out there. To the point where, you'll see in the film.
Because this is before you. I mean, you were little, if any. I mean, this is like. Yeah, you don't remember this.
No, certainly not.
Right.
But again, Son of Sam, I remember one of my sisters lived in the Bronx at the time, where he was killing people. So we were very aware of that. 1977, I believe it was, and other crime in New York. You're aware of a pervasiveness, let's say, of crime and how it affects you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And so that's a real key through line in this story, I believe, because it really affected not only Boston, but, the Northeast, the country.
Yeah. What's interesting is when you think of stories like this, where this woman was fighting to get further into this, and she was being told no, right? Like they weren't wanting to keep investigating into this, and that's kind of keeping the media out of it. But yet we have so much sensationalized violence when you watch our media, it makes us think that crime is up, when in fact crime is not up, and it hasn't been in many years. So it's an interesting juxtaposition to me that you have where this is an actual crime and they're not wanting you to really get to the bottom of it, but yet they have no problem promoting rampant crime in general.
The old adage, if it bleeds, it leads. Well, it mustn't bleed that much, damn it. You know what I mean? We're just enough to...
Too much blood?
Yeah. I don't know what the metric is with news people. Sometimes I trip across these, hey, how about some good news, accounts on Instagram? And I just stay there for a little while, catching my breath, filling up on hope as opposed to just madness.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing I have to tell you. So I don't do social media because the people are very mean. And when I go on Instagram, like all I see, and it's not our Instagram, I have my little own like secret Instagram. And all I have basically are like puppies, firefighters, ducks, like dance, a lot of dance. And that is it. Like, I don't want that nonsense in my head.
No, I could just go on and just look at the dog videos.
Well, that's the thing.
Really
yes.
The ducks and the dogs. They're there,
My friend got me into ducks because she has a duck. And so now I have to follow.
I was looking at a duck in Australia that goes surfing every day. That's what I was looking at.
Really? See, this is the kind of Instagram feed I need.
We don't have ducks like that in Florida. We have this.
Yeah, we have kind of nasty ducks here.
Yeah. I still think those Egyptian geese are cute, though.
They're nasty. Waterfowl are nasty. I mean, they're pretty, but they're nasty.
Yeah, but that's like anything. I mean, I was just showing Jen, there was another, I'm sure you remember, a great movie that was based in Boston, Spotlight, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, Mark Ruffalo years ago. And
Murphy.
The whole idea of the establishment, like you said, no one wants bad press, even if it means putting other people in danger, which I'm sure plays a significant role in this story. I'm sure that's where your role probably is pretty big, is this idea of, we know things are bad, but we really don't want this to make us look bad. So we'll just kind of be quiet about it and say everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
And that's the idea about the freedom of information that I believe is so important. The truth may hurt, but I'd rather know the truth than be living a lie.
Well, with our First Amendment, I mean, it's supposedly a given, but I think this fella, Eddie Holland, he was a bottom line guy in terms of circulation. And he didn't want to exacerbate the issue. Sometimes during investigations, police knowingly and strategically withhold information because the killer mustn't know that they know this. It's all a part of them trying to find the guy or gal. And so there was a part of that happening also. But at a certain point, after 2 years, 10, 11, 12, then it just became. And there was these, it wasn't just the killings, it was the way, it was the theater of it all, the ligatures and with bows. And it was a pretty involved, horrific endeavor of these killers, probably. And so it really captivated people. It was a modern day Jack the Ripper.
Right. So they got one person that theoretically at least did some, right? Like somebody was accountable for some of them, but it is too obvious now that they weren't all the same person. And so they never bothered to go after anyone else.
Well, the story is Albert DeSalvo, toward the 13th, confessed. And I don't want to get into the plot because it's going to really retell what happened.
Yeah.
F. Lee Bailey, the attorney, was a young attorney who made his bones in this case.
Everyone knows him from OJ. Yeah,
nationally known on this case. And what was in the mind of this guy, Albert DeSalvo, career petty criminal, who makes this massive departure over to serial killing? I don't think so. He confessed he had his own ulterior motives for confessing. They were monetary and financial. But he was misguided in thinking that he's going to make all this money telling a story and coming forward. But you see during the investigation in the film that he could not possibly have done all of these killings.
Right.
You think back to some of the most famous serial killers, the Zodiac Killer, the Golden Gate Killer, or whatever it was called, who recently got put away. One thing you notice with a lot of these guys and the Son of Sam is that they had a propensity to either taunt the police or feel the need to constantly be writing about or to somebody, let's say in the news, you like to look a local newspaper to basically say, I killed another person this week, or I did this, that, and the other thing this week. Was there any connection with the Boston Strangler in terms of his or her MO, in terms of whether or not they were actually trying to poke the bear, feel like, hey, I killed another one?
Yeah, I think there was a letter or two. there were, like I said, the way the crime scenes were left, the way these victims were left was horrific. It was staged homicide. It was horrible. There were certain aspects to some of the killings that were absolutely identical, while others were not. The not the modus operandi, but just the crime scene itself. So it was a cat and mouse game. Obviously, I'm sure that psychopaths or sociopaths, this cat and mouse thing feeds some deep, dark, horrible neurosis that they need this interaction, they need this power play. I didn't get too much into those aspects, but
right.
Again, reading and rereading some of the literature and the news articles, that's kind of not to bring it over to me, but I'm just saying it makes it, getting involved in a project that actually happened, that was this dramatic, it becomes a fascinating journey.
Yeah. Well, you can go down a rabbit hole of research, since it's real. Like, that's just the thing. I mean, there's so much material to work from.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly. Especially on this.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.